Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How has this individual fallen from where? From heaven. Did the president fall from heaven? Did the King of England fall from heaven? No. So we have a future event whereby a significant figure that had great power over the nations has fallen, is cut down, basically. His word says fallen, it's the same as cut down, from heaven or from the heavens. Now, many Christians claim that this wicked world is currently ruled by the one they refer to as the devil. Well, let's have a brief look at their own New Testament to identify who exactly this devil figure, this current ruler of nations, could possibly be. We come to Matthew chapter 28, verse 18. And Jesus came and spoke unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. So Jesus currently rules this wicked world from the heavens. And modern day Babylon, made up of predominantly Jesus-serving nations, are the most powerful and dominant countries here on earth. You see how this is all fitting together now? But wait, there's more to this. Back to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? This name, Lucifer, is used in Christian or English translation Bibles. It's not present in the original Hebrew. To those of you that are Christian, have you ever researched what the name Lucifer actually means? It means the shining one, or the morning star. And who refers to himself as the morning star in chapter 22 in the New Testament's book of Revelation? I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. Jesus is the self-proclaimed bright and morning star. But let's not stop there. Verse 12 again. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, morning star, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Look at the state of the world that Christian nations currently dominate. This looks absolutely nothing like the Messianic kingdom the God of Israel has planned, does it? There obviously needs to be an exchange of power in the heavens, the spiritual, and here on earth in the physical. Verse 13, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. This individual positioned himself as the Most High God. Verse 15, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man? The man. Big giveaway here, isn't it? Is Christianity's definition of the devil, or Lucifer, a literal man? Of course not. Does Christianity claim that Satan is a literal human being? Of course not. So who is this man, this morning star, who regards himself like the Most High God, has great power over this wicked world, has come down from the heavens, and utterly shocks the rulers of this wicked world by his very presence in hell? The first half of Ezekiel 28 speaks of the very same individual. Let's read verse 2 of Ezekiel 28 in its entirety to identify if there are any other parallels between this individual and the man we read about in chapter 14 of Isaiah. Son of man, so God speaking to Ezekiel, say unto the prince of Tyrus, in Hebrew, Tyre or Tyrus means rock, and which man is regarded as a rock in the New Testament? 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4, and did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. Say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Again, this individual sets himself up as God. Now let's cut across to verse 13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. If this man was in the Garden of Eden, well, doesn't that mean he came before Abraham? Christians, which man in the New Testament is said to have come before Abraham? Chapter 8 of the book of John, verse 58. Jesus said unto them, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Verse 14 of Ezekiel chapter 28. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. Anointed cherub. Christians, go and look up what the word Christ actually means. Let's skip to verse 19. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Let's read that again. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Where did we read something very similar to this? Back where we started, in chapter 14 of Isaiah. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Verse 16 of the same chapter, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thrust through with a sword. Now, whether literally thrust through with a sword or figuratively speaking, are there any other verses in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, that can confirm a man fitting Jesus' description is thrust through with a sword? The answer is yes. We come to Zechariah chapter 13, and this again is a future prophecy. We're beginning at verse 4. And it shall come to pass in that day, and when it says in that day, in the day Jerusalem is cleansed, as it states in the first 3 verses. Again, this hasn't yet taken place. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed, every one of his vision, when he hath prophesied, neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he shall say, okay, again it speaks of a specific person here, doesn't it? But he shall say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. I am no prophet. I'm not a prophet. It's a confession here. I'm not really a prophet. And where it says husbandman, this is tiller of soil or works the land, okay, in the Hebrew. So we have a false prophet here, someone that works the land. Verse 6, pay close attention to this. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thine hands? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. This false prophet has wounds in his hands. Now where it says friends, it could be friends or loved ones. Either way, those that caused the wounds in his hands, he knew very well. Verse 7, awake, O sword. So we found our sword, haven't we? Here's the sword we were looking for. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd. My shepherd suggests that at some point, this man with wounds in his hands was close to God the Father, but isn't anymore. This is God speaking, remember, God the Father speaking. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, against the man that is my fellow, saith the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I will turn mine hand upon the little ones. For those who don't know, this phrase, smite the shepherd and the sheep shall be scattered, is repeated in the New Testament. So to add to all of these details we read about in Isaiah chapter 14 and Ezekiel chapter 28, we have a shepherd with wounds in his hands who used to be close to the Almighty Father but isn't anymore, and will be thrust through with a sword. And when he is, those regarded as his sheep will be scattered.